Hey everyone, my name is Renee. I'm in Michigan and I'm a real estate agent and I manage my own properties. And today I just want to talk about what are some of the features that you look at before you buy a house for either shared housing or co-living situations. That simply just means many people, oftentimes not related, live together and it's more of a rent by the room model where all the utilities are already included in the rent and residents generally pay a little bit less than like a one bedroom apartment. So some of the things to kind of think about and look for as you look at houses, make sure there's enough parking. This is a really big one. You don't want neighbors complaining and you don't want cars all lined up and down the streets. So having enough parking is really vital. And if there's not, then you got to move on at that point. Another feature to look for is kitchen. So make sure either the kitchen is really large or you have two of them. I like sometimes some of the houses already have a kitchen in the basement and a kitchen on the first floor. Some are multifamily and already set up that way also. So that's ideal to have at least two of those so that not everyone's jammed packed in one spot trying to use the same things at once. Another thing is having at least two living areas. So two areas to relax in, whether they're quiet areas or, maybe it's a more social type setting. I don't have any TVs in the common areas, so TVs would be in individual bedrooms, and so there shouldn't be any TVs going in these common areas anyway, per se. It's up to you if you do it different, but that's how I found is best for everyone, because no one could agree on the station, of course. So living areas is very important to have a couple of those, so if one's a little loud, someone can go somewhere else and do something quieter, like read a book or something. Another thing to look for, or that you include in the co-living situation, is that all utilities are included. Now, sometimes when people own or occupy a house, like it's their own house and it has been for a while, and they want people to just rent by the room in their house, sometimes people break up those utilities I've seen. So they'll charge a base rent and then they'll say plus an extra $75 a month for utilities. Some people though, I feel like investors more so just include the utilities in the rent because it's just too much to keep track of. So that's another big one, is to make it easy for the people moving into the house, just oftentimes include utilities in the rent price. Another thing is that providing internet is very helpful. You don't want people buying their individual internet, sticking dishes on your roof or outside somewhere. Just having one internet service and maybe a couple boxes around the house to let that signal go further through the house, that would be ideal. But the owner paying for internet would be a perk that a lot of people would really appreciate, whether it's watching TV or just surfing on the internet or looking at YouTube, whatever it is. People appreciate that service being provided. Another thing that is good to include in co-living, especially if you're an investor, is having someone clean the house, or the common areas at least, one time or more a month. Could be twice a month, whatever you have the budget for. Especially the bathrooms that are shared, the kitchens, the living room areas. Having someone there once or twice a month to clean those is really nice for the residents, and it also just makes them feel like the whole place is cleaner for them. Another thing to kind of look at is when you're looking at homes, make sure there's two exits for each bedroom. And what I mean by that is it might be a window exit that they could get out of if needed. A lot of times, fire code requires something along these lines. Could just be the door that they normally come in to go to their bedroom and then the window, or it could be two different doors in two locations in their room. Whatever it is, there should be two ways to exit the room if it's at all needed in the future. Another thing to look at is one thing that I want to provide as I create my co-living house is creating one or two community events per year, like bigger events that I spend a little money on. So this could be during, the holiday time, Christmas time, or it could be, once in the summer around 4th of July time, whatever it is, just something to bring the residents together, to have a common goal and to kind of celebrate and just kind of relax a little bit outside of the normal housing residential situation. So you could do it on a monthly basis too and just allocate smaller amounts for that, like, $30 a month for a couple pizzas, and you just have a Friday night pizza get together, with the residents. It's whatever the owner feels best with facilitating in that space. some don't mind as much offering that, and some are, it's kind of part of why they're doing this is to create a community. So another thing you could take a look at is kitchens and common areas. I furnish those myself. I don't furnish the bedrooms. I leave those open for the people's own furniture and dressers and whatever else they have brought with them. But in the kitchens, there should be all appliances, supplies, plates, utensils. Everything should be provided. Yes, everyone gets their own designated spot in the kitchen so that they have, they know where they have to go to get their stuff, and they're responsible for cleaning their own items too. So there's different ways to go about doing that, but everyone should have that already supplied for them in the house. Same with like living areas, the couches. I create a library in mine. Same with living areas in the basement. They should be furnished with something comfortable to sit in, whether it's desks or a table or couches, whatever along those lines is required. Also, safe location. When you're looking at houses like this, there's a lot of cheaper houses in areas that aren't always the safest or that you wouldn't feel comfortable living. So make sure when you're looking at houses that you would feel good being in this area. And, if a family member comes over to visit, that they would feel good too. That doesn't happen a ton usually at these types of houses, but it is something that you should consider. Is that you feel safe and that the rooms are large enough. A lot of times the smaller the room, the less time a resident will stay in the co-living house. So the bigger, the better overall with bedrooms. And then when you I've looked at dozens of houses at this point. When you do go into a house and kind of look at it and get a feel for it, kind of ask yourself, like, would I live here? Is this a location I would want to be in? Is this like a house setup that I would feel comfortable with? Is there enough space to spread out? Is there enough, room in the kitchen to eat, to put a couple tables possibly? So that's what I say every time I go into a house. Like, is this something I can see myself living in if needed in the future? And that should give you a good kind of baseline as to, I think this isn't going to work, or, there's some possibility here. So those are the things that I look at in looking at a co-living house. There's a lot more detail I could include, but those are the basics. And I think if you hit all of those, you're really going to have a more successful experience as a landlord or property owner and as a resident. So that's all. I hope you guys have a good day. Wish you luck with whatever plans you go forward with, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.